Talk Radio 570 KVI.
All right, back we are, the John Carlson Show. It is 25 minutes to 9 o'clock, 8:35, the commute with Carlson. I am very fortunate to have some friends up on Whidbey Island. I love Whidbey Island. I love the San Juans. It's a whole aspect of Washington State that makes this such a wonderful, special place. And a while ago, I got clued in to a problem that they've been having there. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, I bet it's another round in the noise wars against the prowlers and then the growlers and how many flights and how many places and where they take off from, et cetera, et cetera. No. This is something new. Let's just say it's a spillover from Seattle, and you already know what I'm talking about, right? A gentleman who I'm going to bring on the show later on this week says that they have been arresting growing numbers of heroin and meth users on Whidbey Island. Quote, "We're finding needles everywhere, people coming here daily for the free food. The overnight shelter, a store full of free stuff and no accountability. There are more transient homeless coming, many new faces, and a growing police blotter. We've got full jails in both the city and the local county lockup. They are now trying to contract with the city of Yakima for the harder criminals. Since we're smaller, based on our population, it's easy to see this problem, and it has gotten much worse in just the last 2 years." Now let's think about that. Why have things gotten worse in the last 2 years? Because we keep being told, well, this is all a feature of Amazon and growing home values, et cetera, et cetera. Well, actually, you know what we hear is when the economy is going badly, they say, well, we have a homeless problem because the economy's gone into the tank and people lose their jobs and they can't make their housing payments, and so they're homeless. And then when the economy's going well, the economy's going well, but that means growing home values and people can't afford the mortgage payments. They can't afford these rents, and so they're homeless. In other words, no matter what. So there's about 85,000 or so people who live on Whidbey Island, which is a huge, huge island with many easily by far the biggest in the San Juans, if you want to say it's part of the San Juan chain. And it is connected by bridge, Deception Pass Bridge. But most people take the Clinton Ferry. The largest town there, I think, is Oak Harbor, about 23,000 people there. So why are they having these problems? Let me go into, again, the depth of the problems. Drug use is going on daily in plain view. Drug use is happening in public bathrooms. Stories of parents walking in and finding someone shooting up. Needles on the ground and trash. Safeway doesn't even bother calling the police anymore because they can't do anything. John, this is beginning to sound like Seattle to me. The local Whidbey Island Community United organization working with Safe Seattle and echoing their voice. There are now 1,000 members and growing daily as more and more people are fed up. We are tired of the homeless taking over our baseball fields, our dugouts, and our benches, and our beaches, where they shoot up, not to mention the public filth from pooping and peeing. Again, this is in public places. Whidbey Island relies on tourism, and someone gave the Spin Cafe, the nonprofit that now has a drop-in program with plans to feed 140 people daily for meals, free rent for 20 years on waterfront property. We're not just mildly involved, John. We're showing up regularly at city council meetings, forums, conversations with commissioners and the sheriff, as well as the police department. Anyone who will listen. He says, unfortunately, we seem to have a revolving door going for junkies and drug addicts. Okay. And by the way, pictures were supplied that look like Seattle and that look like some of these wooded areas up at Pierce County that they've finally rousted these homeless camps by, that just look absolutely awful and filthy and disgusting. And this is now happening in what should be, a tranquil place that people usually go to, have a great weekend trip at Whidbey Island, stay at the, Inn at Langley or take in some of the great sights there. So much history there on Whidbey Island. But no, it's heading in the direction of Seattle. And why has this been growing in the last 2 years? Well, let me reread part of what was written to me. We are finding needles everywhere. People are coming here daily for the free food, overnight shelter, a store full of free stuff, and no accountability. Ladies and gentlemen, I guarantee you, if you allow free food, free shelter, free stuff, like cell phones, and yes, they do give away cell phones for free, at least in Seattle, and no accountability for your actions, I guarantee you will get people wandering in with drug problems, because people with drug problems want free food, free shelter, and free stuff.
There's one more you can add in there. Free transportation. Island Transit, all you need is a $5 10-cent passenger fee across the ferry. Buses are free on Whidbey Island. So there's your transportation.
Free transportation.
And John, we're seeing this in a lot of Kitsap County, Mason County. They're seeing the same thing. People going from Olympia to the Shelton area because of the better deals. And I'd be curious to chat with some of the Island Transit drivers and what they're seeing on their buses, because that's also affecting people commuting.
Right.
But that's a free ride.
So why do these addicts drift to these places? Well, everyone wants free stuff, of course, but there's another reason. If you don't have to spend money for shelter, if you don't have to spend money for food, if you don't have to spend money for transportation, if you don't have to spend money for your smartphone or your cell phone anyway, and your clothing, that means there's more money to put in your arm. More meth. That means one less thing you have to pay for. So what we need is a concentrated strategy that raises the price of drug dealing. And, of course, what the liberals will say is, well, then they'll just commit crime. Well, they're doing that. They're doing that already. What you need to do is punish them when they commit the crime. But I just wanted to underscore, this is just a classic example of, if you want drug addicts in your neighborhood, then just start handing out stuff for free unconditionally. Now, let me suggest a policy. If somebody makes a nuisance of themselves at a store, let's say a shoplifter or someone who's loitering, they can be trespassed. That means they can be told, no, you may not come to this store. I would like to humbly suggest that everywhere, Whidbey Island, Thurston County, I know they have these problems even down in Lewis County, Centralia, Chehalis, and everywhere in between, should adopt a policy where if you are a known drug addict, you are hereby trespassed from free services. That is to say, you no longer can go to a shelter if you are a drug addict. And I know what you're thinking. No, that's the first step toward getting them better. No, it is not. It's one less thing for them to pay for. You simply say, you cannot have your tent here. Well, they'll go to a shelter. Just make it as difficult as possible for them, because what you want to do is make it so intolerable for them to be an addict on the streets that they'll consider an alternative. The alternative is treatment, and treatment is available, but a lot of them don't want it because we make it easier for them to simply continue being drug addicts.